Address for the record.
My name is Katrina Levitt. My most recent address there was 324 Colum Ave, Richland, Washington, 99352. I want to touch on some of these issues that they're mentioning because I think that I'm a good person to speak. Many people at the courthouse know my name and many of my cases. I've been a pro se litigant for the last few years. Most importantly, I've been part of the family courts here in Benton County for over 15 years now. I spent in total over $75,000 in lawyers' fees, with every single case being settled without going to trial. Most of those cases resulted in me ending up being a pro se litigant and getting more traction on my own. The relationships with other parties to my cases have been contentious, violent, and there's been much documentation of this before the court. I've never been found to neglect, abuse, or endanger my children. I've maintained majority custody of my children for their entire lives up until 2022. My brother's murderer was getting released from prison that year. I had been sexually assaulted by my brother as a child, and I hadn't quite come to terms with that at that point. So his murderer being released from prison opened up a lot of wounds for me. My marriage was extremely emotionally toxic. My family was toxic. I had postpartum depression. I was breastfeeding and seeing thyroid specialists, also at 12 weeks pregnant. I went to a hospital one day with my pastors responsibly because my doctor was closed. I had thoughts of suicide, but no plan. And I knew at that point that I needed some depression medication. So I went to the ER where my ex's father works, reluctantly, thinking that surely I would get help. Instead, crisis response was called, and I was held against my wishes and the doctor's wishes, who said I was fine to go home. That ended up being a week of hell, but it also saved my life. I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. And Commissioner Howell, even though I was never in actual crisis and my children were never actually present during this, allowed my ex to weaponize this, even though it never affected our child. I was ordered to undergo a psych evaluation by him that my ex got to partially control and I had to partially pay for. And that evaluation ended up costing my ex $11,000 for us to be told the same thing and to also be told that my PTSD was caused by abuse from previous partners. At that point, my ex tried to say that the doctor was wrong, even though he chose that doctor, and gave them the information. And Commissioner Howell saw through that, luckily, at that point, and gave me my daughter back and said I was credible. But that didn't stop the hell that I had to endure under his thumb. My ex fought to have all the medical records released during that process, and I fought against it. I felt that there were certain things that I held close to my chest that I let out during those visits to the doctors that shouldn't have been his business. And against my attorney's request, Howell forced me to release.
Your 3 minutes is up.
Thank you. I'll be back next week.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else online? Not seeing any hands raised. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close out public comments. Before I go ahead, I'm going to make a comment, and then this is the last time I'm going to make a comment in reference to this topic. I don't appreciate words being used that are incorrectly used of what I said. I've never said, Mr. Snow, that we're the most powerful men in Benton County. I don't like that. That is not true. We are 3 county commissioners. I don't use that. I don't speak that way. When it comes down to what I said in reference to our ability last week, I believe, on what we can and cannot do, pretty direct. And there was no buts in it. So I will stand with those words of what I read and what I said last week for the record. As far as meeting with both of you, I did that because I've been in this community for 30 plus years. I understood the pain from Ms. Torres when she spoke. I think we talked about that, and was willing to meet with you to find out if, from all the relationships I have within Benton County over the last 3 decades with community leaders, elected officials, if there was a way to get you out of that circle and to find out where I could direct you. Because as I said last week, we don't have the purview. That's a co-equal branch of government. I don't think I've changed and wavered from that. We had a good conversation on that. And I said I would get back to you. That was last week. mid last week. It's Tuesday now. And so I had a decision to make and how to go ahead and maybe give you guys the correct or where I thought would be the right direction to go to. And so I thought about that. And that was just me trying to be a good person, wanting to sit down with you guys. I don't have any purview on that whatsoever. I said that last Tuesday. I think the best avenue, if you're trying to get traction on this, I'll be honest with you. I think if you're going to go ahead and make this where you're guys are going to continue to do public comments, is if you're getting more traction, it's probably going to be at your city council meetings, or some of those city council meetings are televised. And there's more people there typically on that. If you're looking at trying to go ahead and you said you wanted oversight, maybe the group you want to talk and listen for oversight would be your state representatives, state senators. I think they're going to have a workshop here in Benton County or the Tri-Cities. I think next month. It's coming up pretty soon. They're probably not aware of your concerns and all the different information you have here. Those are the ones that can go to the state and maybe change that to get funding for oversight or review those type of items that you've addressed. I'm not pushing it off, but like I said last week, when I talked about what we can and cannot do, I was pretty straightforward. But I do think those are avenues that you could go ahead and go to and talk to your state representatives, state senators. They'll be all in one place and address it and find out what they can do. They can go ahead and change the law. They can do funding. They can do a lot of different things that we can't do at our level. But I'm not going to go ahead and take insults and then try to go ahead and just get beat up. I don't do that. I'm not going to tolerate it. So I think those are different ways that I could go ahead and say those are your best avenues right now to try to go ahead and find a solution to get that fixed. That being said, I'm not going to make no more comments on it. I appreciate the time. I understand your concerns. I really honestly do. I wouldn't have taken the time last week to meet with you if I didn't. But I do believe those are probably the best avenues to go through with that right now at this point in time. Commissioner McKay, have anything to say? Commissioner Dolan. All right, appreciate it. We'll go ahead and move on. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Do I have approval of the consent agenda items?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda items A through, I think, O.
Oh, yeah, we got a P.
O, P. Okay.
All right, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move on to scheduled business. And the first item is temporary closure of district court in Prosser Courthouse. And Judge Bell is here to go ahead and make that presentation.
Morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
It's always fun to be here and get a chance to talk with you in this.
And we're
setting.
talking district court.
Yes, we're talking about district court. So just again, we don't ask what we're going to ask lightly. We've kind of thought through this. So we're changing our informational system from GIS to enterprise justice. And this is a big change that's happening statewide in district court, municipal courts. Everyone went to GIS mandated back in early 1990s. And it was a mess to transition from what we had to GIS long before I got there. Now they're doing it again. They're switching from GIS to enterprise justice. They rolled this out a couple of years ago to one county to see how it worked. Didn't work great, and they tweaked it and worked with it. They then rolled it out to a handful of other counties to see, just kind of work through the kinks. We started this process then as part of the third group. And to date, we're the largest county that they've tackled. And we use every little arm of this project that they have. So we're a good test case for them, along with some other counties doing it at the same time with us, but we're the largest. And it's a daunting task. It's taking up a lot of our time and effort. What's going to happen is there's a lot of mandatory trainings. We've got folks in trainings this week. We'll have folks in training next week. Over the 3 weeks in leading up to when we go live, there's mandatory week-long training for every staff that we have. We're splitting it out over 3 weeks so that we can still cover services in district court. Following that, we'll have that process. We'll have trainers from Olympia, from AOC here, hands-on, multiple trainers trying to work us through this process. At some point, so April 20th, we have scheduled for the person we have in Prosser to be trained. And that training, they don't have enough trainers to send someone up here specifically to train her alone here in Prosser. And they've asked us, we're going to have her down there to train as part of that group that week of April 20th. The next week we go live, May 4th, and they need us. At some point, they're going to shut off the old system and we have to close everything out. Then Monday, May 4th, they're going to turn on the new system and we see what happens. And so we have to close everything out. And so we're asking to shut down Prosser, district court services in Prosser for 3 weeks. Same service is going to still be done in Kennewick. We're going to be able to juggle staff through training to keep that site open to handle things. We just don't have the manpower, training power to keep this open for that short period of time. Not our favorite thing to do, because we like running things up here and having the service provided up here, but we don't have many options in terms of getting everybody trained, getting the system. We need the Prosser location kind of shut down, closed out. Then we need to close out the Kennewick site and open up the new site and see how the system works. And so we're not looking forward to this. The state's happening all over the state. So we have to go to this system at some point. This is just our turn. And we kind of elected to go here at this point to try and get this process done. So what we're asking is to have the Prosser office or district court office closed for those 3 weeks while we do the training, get the system implemented, make sure it's running while we have AOC staff there to handle these issues, and then open back up with a brand new system and it's even better than before.
You guys both good? All right, thank you. We have a motion.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No question. I move to temporarily close the district court and Prosser courthouse from April 20th, 2026 to May 8th, 2026 for mandatory training due to the implementation of a new software.
Second. I have a motion. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I step down, I'm just going to remind one thing, April 8th, our 200th graduate in mental health court, also our 10-year anniversary. We've sent out those invitations. Hope to see as many people as we can there. It should be a good day to celebrate mental health court.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, before we go ahead and do our final comments and all that, I have a resolution here and Adam File. You want to come up and present that?
Good morning, Commissioners. Sorry to bring something to you under other business. I thought this was taken care of already, but we've got a request from Benton City, from the mayor of Benton City. They're making an application to what's called the Floodplains by Design state grant program. And this regards the Green Acres housing community right down in Benton City, which is probably getting wet again this morning. They do every time it floods. So the proposal here is to buy out this property, this trailer park, and then assist all the residents with relocation within Benton City and whatever their needs are. This is a difficult spot for that community, and every time it floods, it's a problem for them. So this city is working with the state to try to work on this, and this particular grant is through the Floodplains by Design program. So it's also given us a chance to advocate for this through the Yakima Basin Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board, because Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board actually works with Floodplains by Design. So it's an intersection of a few different things here. The mayor has requested a letter of support or resolution to support this grant. That's what this is. He needs this by next Monday, so that's why I'm bringing it to you under other business. And so that's what I have.
We need to make a resolution on it. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep, a motion, excuse me.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move to support the Board of Commissioners of Benton County in the matter of the grant request by the city of Benton City. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Adam gave us a thumbs up. Yeah. Will that work? Does it have to have a dollar amount or anything? Yeah. Okay. All right. I have a motion. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you,
Adam.
Commissioners.
All right, we'll go down to other business. We have none. Commissioner McKay, anything today? Commissioner Delvin?
No.
I guess I'll go on just one last time. Like I said, I appreciate you guys coming in. I understand as much as I can understand without having, with not having your child separated. That's why I spoke to both of you. Really trying to brainstorm that because it's a circle and you're trying to break out of it to try to go ahead and get resolution on it. Totally get it. I do think the best avenue, really, after I thought about this more and more, made a few phone calls to friends and stuff like that. And I think one of our friends here that we both know is Tina Gregory and stuff. And she had mentioned a few weeks ago if we could help you. And I talked to her, offline on my personal phone. She had called me and asked me, hey, I know if there's something you do, I know you would be willing to do it. And that's why she was asking about help, because she knows we're that type of people. But I can go ahead and literally tell you, I think your best avenue would be to go ahead and contact your state, local representatives and state senators, whether that's Stephanie Bernard, Representative Stephanie Bernard, whether it's Representative April Connors, whether it's Senator Matt Bianchi, Senator Perry Dozer. Those are the ones that will go up there and listen to your concerns. They're probably not they're not aware of, unless you guys have made them aware of it. Those are the ones that could go ahead and get oversight funding for us or them to go ahead and do those type of things. So I would highly recommend, I think that would be a pathway forward to contacting them, at least seeing what they could say. I don't know if you've done that yet or not. Okay.
Like I said, I'm going to continue to use my right to educate my community. And so they're aware, because a lot of these systems function in silence. And I'm done being silent. I've tried to do everything by the book. And they're not listening.
I understand.
So I'm going to keep coming.
I understand, Ms. Torres, but this isn't a public comment anymore. But I appreciate it. I totally understand what you're saying, and I respect your right to do that. I really, honestly do. All right. With that being said, I'm looking at any of the managers or directors within our space here. Any comments, questions? All right. Way back in the corner, I see our county treasurer. Ken, do you have anything to say for the good of the record? We're good. So at that point in time, the time is 9:32, and we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.